Welcome back to Westmoreland on the Gridiron here on the Westmoreland Sports Network. Sean Meyers now joined by the second-year head coach of the Greensburg Salem Golden Lions, Ty George. And Ty, first off, congrats on a 2-0 start. I know it's got to be very exciting. You have already matched last year's win total, and certainly seems like sooner rather than later, the Golden Lions are going to surpass their win total from a year ago. What have you seen as the biggest difference this year, your second year, and for many of these players, their second year starting, as opposed to where you were at this time a year ago?
Yeah, Sean, thanks so much for having me. The kids have done a great job of just having confidence and, just putting in a ton of time and work in the off season. I think this stems all the way back to December when we got back in the weight room and we really committed to that as a team, and then, got into some spring ball stuff and then into our summer and then HEDAC and camp, and you know how fast it goes once it gets rolling. And, the kids have been consistent with their attendance and their effort. And I think you do that over time enough, you start to feel confident in what you're doing. And I think now it's translating into play on the field and win. So just been super proud of their work and effort and their confidence that's gotten us to this point.
And it wasn't just a win last week. It was a very impressive win against Ligonier Valley. Golden Lions 43-14 victors. What in particular stood out about your team's effort against the Rams?
I think we just competed in all three phases of the game. You look back on it and, we had some key defensive stops. We were able to take some drives and finish them with touchdowns. I think we only had to punt once or twice, which was great. We had a couple good kickoff returns. So, you do all three phases of the game and you're able to have some success. In those categories, you have a pretty good chance to win. So I was pleased with how we competed in all three phases.
We've known that Dom Rosensteel is a guy who was getting a lot of attention during the offseason. And of course, anytime you have a quarterback battle, that seems to make headlines, especially when it's between brothers. But you return some really good running backs, and Bruno had a monster performance in that win. Talk about what he's been able to do and how the running game has been a major asset.
Yeah, Kai's done a great job for us early on in the year here, with him playing both sides of the ball, for him to, be safety for us and then take reps at the running back position, for him to run the way he has been great. And Brady Smith for us as well. He's done a phenomenal job. We really think we have a good 1-2 punch there with them. Whenever either of them have the ball, they have their own unique running style, and I think it really bodes well for our team. So the run game has been a huge plus, and then the guys up front blocking for him and covering him for, obviously. So it's been a great start with the run game.
We mentioned Bruno contributing defensively as well, and I know John Jablonowski's a tough guy to try to slow down, but other than a couple of big plays, it seems like your defense has been pretty good this year. What has been key to the success on that side of the football, and who are some guys that have really stepped up defensively?
I think for us defensively, we kind of went back to some fundamental things, and that's again was starting in our summer, just with some of the forms and techniques with tackling, getting aligned properly, some coverages, and I think the kids really bought into that early on. For us defensively, up front, it all starts there. We have four great guys with Eddie Johnson, Azzy Franklin, Cole Savage, and Isaiah Stillwagon. They've really man the fronts for us. And then we have some great linebackers and Anthony Matthews and Max Topper. And then, we returned all of our secondary with Keegan Young, Dom Rosensteel, Bruno, and Tyrese Lewis. So, we got some kids who have experience in all those positions and played a ton for us last year. So I think the combination of their experience and some of those fundamental things have really helped us.
I talked to so many different coaches, and when we come up to the topic of goals for the year, usually it centers around making the playoffs. These two wins are not going to help your postseason bid necessarily, but it seems like they're really important for a program that needs to stack some wins together. So what were the goals this year, and how much do getting consecutive wins to start the season help trying to accomplish those ultimate goals?
When we finished last year, I told the kids, we got to set some goals and things we want to try to accomplish that'll drive our off season. And, two of the things we came up with were having a winning record and make the playoffs. Greensburg Salem football hasn't made the playoffs in about 5 years, and it's been around 12 or 13 years since they've had a winning record. So, for us, those are things that we've set out to try and accomplish. And like I told them, it's going to take a lot of steps along the way to get those things done. But, these wins early on, it doesn't necessarily help us with the playoff race, but it boosts confidence and it kind of gives the kids some ability to see like, hey, all this work and time and effort that you've put in, it's paying off. So those wins early on will hopefully help us so we have that kind of juice and energy when we get down the line come playoff time.
I'm guessing you and the coaches probably stay relatively even keeled, but for the players, especially the ones who went through the hard times last year, Has there been a lot of excitement and celebration, or is it more so this was expected? We don't want to get too high because then, you could suffer a greater fall, I guess, if you get up a little too high.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of one of those things where it's a little bit of both. And I tell them like winning high school football games is hard. I don't care what level, what classification. It's a very difficult thing to do. So when you do it, you should enjoy it. You should celebrate it. But it's something too where, when we come in for film the next day on Saturdays, we're right back to work. So you want them to enjoy it. You want them to embrace and be excited that we're winning football games, but at the same time, stay consistent, stay focused because it is a long season. You have 10 full weeks and you have to compete each and every week if you want to get to where you want to get to. So a healthy balance of both is how we approach it.
Is there any truth to the rumor that one of the biggest factors in the two early season victories was the fact that you got a pep talk from my colleague at the Fan Donnie Football, aka Donnie Kendrick, when he played for the Golden Lions?
Donnie did stop by, man. He stopped by and he spoke to the guys, which was awesome, to be able to have somebody come in and speak to the team and of alumni from not too long ago. It was great to see him talk to the kids. And it's just great to have guys that come back and want to, still be a part of what we do and see what goes on. So super appreciative and thankful for Donnie to come and stop by and say hi to the guys, and great to see him.
Well, it's one of those things where very few teams in Western Pennsylvania have the tradition, have the heritage of Greensburg Salem. But for the guys, maybe 15, 16 years old, they didn't see some of those great teams when they were growing up. So is it important to bring back people who, maybe a decade or so ago were part of the great tradition of the Golden Lions?
Absolutely. And, you look at it, this upcoming game here with Valley, we have it's a 20-year anniversary of the team that won the conference in 2004. And, I look at it like these kids weren't even born when that was going on. So they have to realize like Greensburg Salem has won a lot of football games, before they've been a part of the team. And for them to get to see that history and then realize, hey, we can make our own history here. We can be one of those teams that gets to come back in 20 years and celebrate. And I think it's one of those things where them being a part of it and them getting to see it happens, I think they enjoy that, and I think it gives them something to look forward to that, hey, maybe this could be us and this could be our group one day.
Well, you mentioned the home showdown against the Valley Vikings. They are 0-2, but one thing we've seen is that they can put up some points. They put up 36 in their loss most recently against Riverview. What stands out about Valley and what challenges do they present to you?
Their kids play hard. They have some athletic kids that play both sides of the ball for them, and they compete and they get after it. They're never down and out. You look at their last game, and they didn't quit. They played and they almost had a comeback win at the end. So, hats off to them and their work effort and just how they approach day to day, tasks and games. And I really do think that they're going to have a successful season. So we're looking forward to seeing how we match up against them.
I know that once you get to the conference, obviously that's going to be your focus at that point. But I would imagine you can't help but at least look at some of the scores for the other teams that compete in the Interstate. Seems like so far it's been a lot of success. We saw Mount Pleasant win a thriller recently. Obviously, Southmoreland's off to a good start. The Yawk Cougars are 2-0 this season, and everyone knows EF as well. So do you pay attention to that stuff, and how far ahead do you look in terms of evaluating how the other teams are doing?
For us, the biggest thing is the conference play. That's when the level of competition really ramps up. And, you see the score from, these non-conference games and you see who's winning and losing. But, you don't know who's playing who or how this team is or that team is, especially with the reclassification and alignment this year. So, we try to stay focused on what we're doing and just keep taking it 1 week at a time. And, we'll definitely get to see a ton of them, obviously, as the season progresses. So it's something that you notice, but, you don't, bank on it for sure.
Lastly, I know that each and every year a team has its own unique identity. So, second year for you as the head coach, what do you love most about the 2024 version of the Greensburg Salem Golden Lions?
I'll tell you what, it truly is a fun group of kids to be around. They come to practice every day. They're excited to be there. They have fun. But the thing I love most with this group is especially our seniors. They've really bought into, hey, this is our last year, and we want to leave this program better than we found it. And they want to, they want to go out the right way. They want to go out winners, and they're trying to lead by example for the classes underneath them. So I'm really excited with how they're trying to change the culture and the makeup of Greensburg Salem football. And I'm looking forward to see what we can do throughout the course of the year under their leadership and guidance. So it's been great to see kind of the 180 from last year to this year, and it's a credit to them and all the work and effort they've put in.
Well, Ty, certainly you deserve some of that credit as well. Congrats on the 2-0 start, and hopefully you can keep it up this Friday and beyond.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it.
That's Ty George, the head coach of Greensburg Salem. We'll take a quick break and continue with more right here on Westmoreland on the Gridiron.